Welcome back to the OU Insider YouTube channel, and welcome back to Quick Slants. Parker Thune alongside Jesse Crittenden as we continue to break down every facet of spring football at Oklahoma. And today, well, hate to harp on bad news, but the Sooners are banged up, Jesse. A lot of injuries across the board, both offensively and defensively. On the one hand, it's better to be banged up in spring than it is in fall. But on the other hand, a lot of these guys missing meaningful reps. And of course, the optimist take on that is it provides more opportunity for the next generation, the incoming freshmen, some of the guys that were buried on the depth chart a year ago, more of an opportunity for them to get better. But we were doing the quick tally before we hit record on this video, and I count 17 players, Jesse, that are dealing with some type of injury. Most of them are not of any significant severity, but just to know you have that much attrition already through not quite 3 weeks of spring ball. I guess we have eclipsed the 3 weeks of spring ball barrier at this point. Not the greatest of signs if you're an OU football fan.
No, and especially on the defensive end, that's kind of, obviously the tight end room was already kind of banged up heading into the season, but particularly on the defensive end, I think that's where, again, that's where a lot of the issues stemmed last year. I think that's where we saw, there was going to be a lot of position battles that we projected coming into spring ball, particularly like you mentioned, maybe with some redshirt freshmen or sophomores who were buried on the depth chart last year. But particularly at the secondary, I think there's a couple of names in there that I think we both thought that, guys like Robert Spears-Jennings, guys like that I think you thought maybe really had an opportunity to get some playing time or even a starting spot. So I think, again, it is spring. It's early. I don't think any of the injuries are necessarily dire, but it is tough when you get some guys, particularly on the defensive end, who are going to miss the rest of spring ball, and some injuries that maybe could linger into the spring or into the summer or maybe even the early part of fall camp.
So let's look at some of these injuries on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, much has been made of Javonte Barnes' absence from the practice field. He's on a scooter, got a foot injury. Emeka Megwa hasn't participated in spring ball at all. He's got a knee injury. Offensive line, 3 of your left tackles are banged up. Walter Rouse with that shoulder injury. Jacob Sexton recovering from the knee injury he suffered in the bowl game. And then you got Aaron Parks dealing with a concussion. He's been cleared, so he's practicing once again in full. Tight end, they're ravaged there too. Blake Smith has a club on his hand. Caden Helms and Jason Llewellyn with a knee and a foot, respectively, both underwent surgeries earlier this spring. And then you got J.J. Hester with a dinged up foot once again. So you look at that list, who are some of the guys that you think really stand to benefit from the missed time that those select few are going to endure?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of places you could look, but to me, I think the running back injury to Javonte Barnes is really interesting. Again, not that I think Javonte Barnes is at risk of completely losing a big time role, but I think this is a pretty big opportunity for someone like Gavin Sawchuk. Obviously, I think we've talked about it before. We project that room to be kind of a 1A, 1B in certain respects. I think Javonte Barnes has kind of been seen as the lead or the potential leader of that group when it comes to playing time, but I think this is a pretty big opportunity for the rest of spring for someone like Gavin Sawchuk. Maybe he can boost himself a little bit more in the pecking order. Maybe look at some of these freshman running backs like Dalen Smothers or Caleb Hicks. So again, Javonte Barnes' injury is not going to keep him out forever, but he's going to miss a few weeks. And I think this is going to be a pretty interesting time for those other running backs behind him. Maybe they can use this to propel them up a little bit.
And I'll tell you, one of the incoming freshmen that we had talked about was going to have an expedited path to playing time because of his ability to play tackle, guard, and or center was Caden Green. Well, as it would turn out, you got 3 left tackles on the shelf in Rouse, Sexton, and Parks. And all of a sudden, less than a week into his very first spring on campus at the University of Oklahoma, Caden Green's taking first team reps at left tackle. So again, a lot of these guys coming in ready to play. We've heard really good things about Makari Vickers, Josiah Wagner, obviously PJ Adebawore. But the freshman class in general definitely stands to benefit from some of the injuries that the veterans have undergone to this point in spring ball. Now you look at the defensive side, Ethan Downs and PJ Adebawore have both been limited. PJ's still working back from a foot injury that he suffered in the All-American game. It's not something that's serious. It's just kind of something that's annoying, if you catch my drift. You got cornerback, and that room has been ravaged. Jaden Davis, Kenai Walker, Jaden Rowe, and of course the medical episode that Gentry Williams had before spring ball. All points of concern within that room. Eric McCarty's working back from a knee injury that he suffered in November as a high school senior. And then Robert Spears Jennings, Brent Venables just disclosed it the other day. He's going to undergo shoulder surgery, not soldier surgery, Jesse, shoulder surgery. And he's going to miss the remainder of spring. So across the board on defense, I'll ask you the same question. Who do you think that opens the door for a little bit more?
Yeah, that's a good point on that. Because I think again we came into the spring seeing defensive, the secondary as a group that was deeper, but than last year. But I think there was still a lot to suss out. I mean, I think coming into the spring, you couldn't really pencil in too many guys as being for sure starters going into the fall. So I think you look at defensive back, or you look at the cornerback room specifically. You mentioned some of those freshmen there, but I think this is again a big opportunity for someone like Kendall Dolby, who comes in as a transfer that we've talked about before, transfer a JUCO All-American, a guy that we were pretty high on coming into the year. I mean, a lot of the competition I think in front of him is hurt a little, obviously hurt a little bit. Then you look at at safety, where obviously Peyton Bowen is back after the family. The hard thing that family's dealing with. But I mean, again, I think the room, or the coaching staff, players have been really excited about Peyton Bowen. So if you want to look at freshman defensive backs who have an opportunity, especially with some of these injuries, the Robert Spears Jennings injury at safety is a pretty big opportunity for Peyton Bowen to maybe be a little bit more in the mix.
Tell you what, we can start doing vocal warm-ups before we record these videos, Jesse, and yours can just be Robert Spears Jennings, and mine will be undergo shoulder surgery. That's going to do it for this installment of Quick Slants. I am Parker Thune. That is Jesse Crittenden. We will catch up with you all again next time. Stay subscribed, or get subscribed if you aren't already, to the OU Insider YouTube channel as we continue to bring you thoughts, insights, storylines from Oklahoma spring practice over the next couple of weeks leading up to the spring game. And head over to OUinsider.com, grab a VIP subscription. You'll get a lot more there than you will here. But regardless, to those that already subscribe, thank you so much. To those that haven't subscribed, hit that button. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. Again, for Jesse, I am Parker. We'll talk to you again next time.